Hello, welcome back. Ms. Rochford here. Thanks for joining me for part 5 of our Read Aloud Because of Mr. Terupt by Rob Bouvier. And wow, this plot is just getting so thick. So many things are happening and a lot of girl drama when we left off. And we know that a lot is being caused by Alexia. She's kind of stirring the pot, causing trouble. And we're going to see where that goes. We're still in October of the school year, so I'm thinking as school years go, there's a lot more to happen. And knowing what we do about these characters, look at all this great thinking we've already done. Hopefully you have your notes at home and you're going to continue to add on to it. If you're on the second or third page, ain't no harm in that. You go. And so keep on keeping on, and we're gonna see what happens now. But all this thinking, and there's no telling, guys. There's no telling what's gonna happen next. We are picking up with Alexia. Ooh, here we are. I saw Jessica talking to Danielle. I saw them playing. That double-crossing, no good Miss Perfect from California. She was gonna get it. I went right up to her after recess and smacked her stupid book out of her hands. Who did she think she was, messing things up? I couldn't let her stand up to me and get away with it. Then somebody else might think they could do that too. I wasn't about to let that happen. Nobody messes with Alexia. Then I had to deal with Danielle. I caught up to her inside and followed her into the bathroom. I was like, "What are you doing?" She backed up to the stall. "Nothing. What's wrong?" I was like, "You're crazy to be friends with the new girl. I told you she's been saying nasty stuff about you. How you smell like the farm, and she just now said, who's bigger, Danielle or the cows?" Now Danielle was crying. Score. I hugged her. I was like, "We've been friends a long time, Danielle. Since second grade. We don't need her." She was still crying. I hugged her again. I was thinking, this will teach you to mess with me, Miss Perfect. I let go of Danielle and walked over and stood in front of the mirror. I fixed the scrunchie in my hair and readjusted my scarf. I reapplied some Princess Pink lip gloss. I was like, "Don't you worry, Danielle. We'll get her." Yikes. Okay, so if you jotted some things down about Alexia, that's great. We know she's still making some more drama. She's angry at Jessica, so she was saying about that new girl from California, stay away from her. And then, typical Lexi style, she makes up more rumors to tell Danielle, thinking it's coming from her. So poor Danielle's crying. More of this pattern that she's used to of people being mean to her, the fat jokes, and she's just having to deal with it. So from Lexi's point of view, Lexi's winning now. She's like, yes, we're going to get Jessica back. And so, what a mess. What a mess. Here we are with Danielle. You ready? And again, look at those fonts. I'm thinking that has something to do with their personalities. Very interesting. I ended up talking and playing with Jessica at recess. My troubles with Lexi weren't her fault. I told Jessica about Anna. Jessica thought Anna seemed nice, which was true. Anna was my science partner for the plant unit, and I liked working with her. "You stay away from that girl, you hear me?" Grandma said when I first mentioned Anna at home. "Your grandmother's right, Danielle. That girl comes from a bad family," Mom said. "She's a bad influence." I wanted to know why. So Grandma filled me in on Anna's family story. Again, we all put that together about Anna's mom being ostracized. She didn't seem bad at all. In fact, I really liked her. I wanted her to be my friend. I figured that as long as I wasn't going over to her house, I could be friends with Anna at school. But before long, it was time to head inside. I walked alongside Jessica until I saw Lexi marching toward us. She had a mean scowl on her face. She looked mad, real mad, like a mama cow determined to keep you away from her new calf. I rushed ahead. I didn't want to fight. I felt bad for leaving Jessica behind, but I wanted to avoid Lexi. I hurried inside and hid in the bathroom, but Lexi found me. The bathroom door flew open and she got right in my face. She told me all the mean things Jessica was saying about me. Like, you can even ask Katie or Emily. They'll tell ya. Little Miss California is a two-face. Nice to your face and mean behind it. You need to stay away from her. I started crying. Why would Jessica say those mean things? Lexi hugged me for a second, but it didn't make me feel any better. Then she walked toward the sinks. She stood in front of the mirror, fixing herself. I sat in one of the stalls, wiping my tears. Like, you know what else? Lexi said. Jessica's the one who killed your plant. Like, she knocked it over on purpose. She told me. I've known Lexi since second grade, when she was all nice. She even came over to my house once that spring. But her feather boas weren't a good match for my farm, so she hasn't ever been back. And then in third grade, she started with her mean games. So I've never been to her house. We were friends in school when Lexi said so, and that's it. Grandma says something's going on with Lexi that we don't know about, and that it's best not to worry about being her friend. But I did worry. What was the truth? Was there anyone I could be friends with? Dear God, it's Danielle. I'm going to need your help sorting all this girl stuff out. I hope you don't mind. I'd rather not get Grandma involved. She doesn't always understand. Thanks. Amen. Okay, huge fact about Lexi. Everything has kind of been leading towards one way until this big fact or this big perspective from Danielle. Did you pick up on it? Were you listening? Did you hear it? Something big that were like, what? I should have put a big question mark in your mind. I'm going to go back. You ready? I've known Lexi since second grade when she was all nice. Okay, that is different from everything we've been thinking about Lexi. She even came over to my house once that spring, but her feather boas weren't a good match, blah, blah, blah. And then in third grade, she started with her mean games. Okay, so as a reader, we should be thinking, hold up, what happened after second grade that changed Lexi? And even Danielle's picked up on it and been like, I don't know what's going on anymore. She used to be nice. Something happened, and I'm kind of worried about it. And then as we learn the format, she's praying at the end of her chapter. And so we know that's something that might be typical of Danielle there. So, and we know her families are churchgoers, so that makes sense with our thinking already. So we have Alexia, a huge different turning point here, pivotal moment, if you will, when you change. So we're going to say nice until third grade. Now, when I have a question, that's huge. I'm going to put that on there too with a question mark. So I'm going to say something happened. To change her. Like, what's up? Was it just a change? I'm going to put an arrow here because it has to go with this thought. She was nice until third grade. So it makes me wonder, did something happen to change her after that, after second grade? Because she was nice until then. And so Danielle's kind of wondering that too. Danielle's stuck in the middle. She doesn't know who to believe with all this girl drama. And again, she's just kind of caught in these tears, not knowing what to do, and still having to listen to her grandmother that says to stay away from somebody that she's really liked so far. So, you ready? November. The year that was on. Luke. Or thinking about Luke, likes school, loves games. Oh yes, he's the one that set off the fire alarm. Wrapping our head around it. Here we go. It was November. Apparently, that meant time for Mr. Terupt to get crazy with his math ideas again. I think he was on a mission to put us through his math gauntlet. Dollar word. We're going to figure out the number of blades of grass in the soccer field, he announced one day. What? You're going to make us count grass? Peter yelled. That's nuts. No way, Nick was hollering. Dollar word. How are we supposed to do that? Tommy said. I raised my hand. Yes, Luke? You mean we're going to estimate the total number, right? I said. Estimate's a dollar word. Yes and no, Mr. Terupt said. We actually do some calculating to get a reasonable approximation. I was beginning to think that Peter might be right. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but I know we can do it, Mr. Terupt said. Besides, if everything we did were easy, then you wouldn't learn anything. Have you heard that before? I bet you have. We need to be challenged in order to learn. Mr. Terupt was right about it being a challenge. None of us had any idea how we were going to count blades of grass, but we did. First, we decided we wanted to count 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter squares, which was my suggestion after Mr. Terupt talked to us about sampling and how our government gets population numbers. Then we measured the squares on large pieces of cardboard and cut them out. So we were left with a piece of cardboard that had a 10 centimeter square missing in the middle. That was Mr. Terupt's suggestion. Now it would be easy to toss our piece of cardboard around the field and collect random 10 centimeter samples. So far, so good. Time to head outside. We marched downstairs and out the front doors by the office. Then we stampeded down the sidewalk until the end of the building. The soccer field awaited us on the side of our school. All right, so far we got a huge math project. And of course, Luke is super excited about it because we know he loves math games. All right, that aligns with everything we know so far. And in comes Peter. Tries to be sneaky, doesn't like school. Oh, we know he likes the trouble. Let's see if what we're thinking is matches. She was bent over counting blades of grass. It was the perfect opportunity. All right, it matches what we were thinking. He's a troublemaker. Mr. T was busy helping someone else, so he wasn't going to see me in action. I gripped the cardboard with my best hold, dipped my knees a little, and let the frisbee fly. It zinged through the air on its mission like a missile from a fighter jet. Bullseye! Ow! Lexi shrieked. My tushy! I almost died of laughter. I dropped to my knees. I laughed so hard. I couldn't stop. I couldn't catch my breath either. Lots of other kids were laughing too. Lexi yelled something about her tushy and me being a jerk. Everyone that missed out on the fun kept asking, what happened? What happened? Everyone except Mr. T. He came right over to make sure Lexi wasn't injured. Lexi was holding her tushy and hopping up and down, saying, ow, over and over. She's a total drama queen. Usually a teacher checks the spot that hurts, but I don't think Mr. T was real big on that this time. Peter, that's not funny, Mr. T said to me. Someone could have been injured. You're lucky you didn't hit anyone in the eye. Go sit down. I sat down. It was no big deal. If you'd have been there, you'd agree. It was super funny. Luke. All right, so none of that. Everything matched up with what we were saying. We can't add the action because it might lead to something else. We're learning that this is kind of like one action leading to another. And so we can put that here through frisbee. To hit Lexi. We'll use their word tushy. Gotta love Peter and his vocabulary. Sheesh, Peter. Luke, we spread out all over the place. All right, remember, he's heading out there like, yeah, come and get it, math project, yay. So let's see what happens. We spread out all over the place, tossing our cardboard squares and counting the blades of grass. Peter, however, was flinging his square like a frisbee, even though Mr. Terupt had warned us that it wasn't a toy and to be careful throwing it. Maybe if things had turned out differently that day, they would have turned out differently in the end, too. Like, they keep mentioning this. You realize that? Like, what happened in the end? What are they talking about? I think what happened on the soccer field just set us up for disaster later on. Oh, you get the warning signs? Something big is coming. So Peter was being his typical sneaky self, flinging his square and counting here and there. But as soon as he spotted Alexia bent over her square, he wound up and sailed a beauty in her direction. It was a perfect delivery, dollar word. And the tattooed, dollar word, her fanny. Ow! She screeched. Like, what the heck? What happened? Mr. Terupt instantly twisted, dollar word, around. Like someone just hit me right in the tushy with their square, Alexia cried. The old buttocks again, huh? Mr. Terupt said. You okay? Yes, Alexia said. Mr. Terupt turned and looked out at us. We were laughing our heads off, and I swear I saw him smile as he shook his head at the whole scene. Peter, come on over here, please, he said. Why me? Peter complained. Because we all know how much you like the buttocks area, don't we? Classic Mr. Terupt. Instead of blowing up, he was funny about it, but in a serious way. He sat Peter out for the rest of the activity and had a talk with him. Peter didn't pretend to be innocent, but like I said, I think the setup was for later. The whole thing seemed funny. No one got hurt. Peter sat out. That was it. Once we finished tossing and counting, we headed inside, where we learned how to average out all our data. Then we took our average number and used it to predict the soccer field total by figuring out how many of our squares could fit inside the field. The number of blades of grass in our soccer field equals 77,537,412. This isn't an exact answer, of course, but it is an accurate estimate based on all of our calculations. Phew! I learned so much doing that project. It wasn't the stupid easy stuff I was used to getting from my teachers, that's for sure. We were math wizards, dollar word. All right, check the time. We will stop there. Next up is Jessica. And so far, he's just kind of leading up to this thing getting bigger. This is something silly. Peter didn't really get in trouble, but we know something's coming. You heard the word snowball effect when it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So we kind of get that idea that something's happening here. And we're going to figure out what this leads to next time. So thanks again for tuning in. Again, this is available online if you want to follow along. But it's just good that you're here with me for my read aloud. It is one of my favorites. Until next time, guys, miss you and lead on.